What's up, Texas high school football fans? Mallory, Hartley, Dave Campbell's Texas football, sitting alongside Mr. Carter Yates.
This feels awesome to be sitting here with you with V&A in the studio producing, because the last time we did this was the best day of my life when I got to guest appear on Women Talking Football.
Well, the best part about that was it was during the month of March, which is International Women's Month. So we invited you on to co-host WTF.
I know.
During International Women's Month.
I don't think Pickle has forgiven me yet.
Oh, she never will. I don't think she's forgiven me because I allowed that to happen.
I know. Because you broke within 2 hours the first day that she missed sick.
I know. Well, you suggested it, and I was like, it's not a horrible idea.
It was a horrible idea.
It was a great episode, but it's been a long time since we've been in these chairs together. And V&A came up to us last week, held us by the throats, and was like, you'll find a segment to do on Wednesdays, whatever this is, right?
Exactly.
So we were like, okay. We came up with a segment. We haven't really named this segment, but this is going to be the top 10 Texas high school football players that Carter and I have seen in person. And so a little bit of background. I've been covering Texas high school football since 2018. So a little bit longer probably than you have.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, a lot of our players are going to cross over here.
Well, this segment was inspired by Stetson Surratt, the Midlothian Heritage all-star wide receiver, because in 2023, my first year here, we went to a game almost every Thursday night.
We did,
and
yep.
when we did the Trivia Tuesday and they flashed Midlothian Heritage's football field, I said, I watched Stetson Surratt, me and Mallory did, go for like 3 touchdowns and a pick 6. And then you commented on that Instagram video, said Stetson Surratt's elite ball knowledge. And our boy...
He responded with the 100
emoji.
I think that was my favorite part. Well, I didn't see it at first. You had to come show me, and I was like, me and Stetson.
And it just jogged my brain about... I knew I picked the right job when I came to you one October and said... I want to drive to Tyler, Texas to watch Tyler play McKinney North for a battle of 4th place in District 858 D1. 2.5 hours away, and you were like, let's do it.
Let's do it, no hesitation. You know, and we had Stanley's that road trip, too, the best barbecue place I've ever had in my entire life. That's what Texas high school football is all about, right? So,
but then we started talking about all the players like we saw that year, and we were big on when we'd go to a game like McKinney North and Tyler, drive all that way, we wouldn't talk to the guy with 14 offers. I talked to like the second team all district outside linebacker who went to Southeastern Oklahoma State and was like, "That good content. Let's head back."
Right. We genuinely like to interview the guys that maybe didn't have as many offers as, you know, a kid that might be top 5 in the state, but they played the best in whatever game that we saw or made the most of an impact or something. And I thought that was really cool. So that kind of inspired us to make this segment of the top 10 Texas high school football players that we've seen in person. So, Carter, why don't you do us the honors and start us off here?
Really?
I'm going to give you the honors, and you can give me your first pick.
Wow, that's so big of you. I really appreciate this. Okay. Good. I actually do want to go first because I'm really scared you're going to take some of my picks.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, the problem is we've seen so many games together in person, so that sucks.
We're picking from the same pool.
Yeah, I know.
I'm starting off with, I believe, the most famous high school athlete I've ever covered. And that's Timpson quarterback athlete Terry Bussey.
Great pick.
It's still the most clicked on story I've ever worked on at Dave Campbell's, because there's just like a different type of fame you get when you're at a small town that no one's ever heard of, which is kind of a paradox. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, you would expect a kid who goes to a big school that has a built-in huge fan base to be more famous, but it's actually the kids who go to a school like Timpson that had a career 400 winning percentage.
Right.
That have the biggest fans there. And I remember I drove to Timpson, and after talking with Terry,
by the way. Yeah.
Oh, he has an amazing story. It's also the most famous athlete and the best story I've ever covered, because Terry went through so much hardship in his life with his mom and sister both passing away by the time he was a sophomore in high school, and he was living with the principal's family, and he was just so well loved. Not because he was such a good football player, because of the person he was in the community. And I remember I was leaving Timpson. I stopped at 3 different shops, at the Brookshire Brothers. I stopped at a 7-Eleven, and I kept polling people that worked there. Like, do you know who Terry Bussey is? I'm working on a story. And they were like, yes, like my sister's best friends with him, or I worked with his mom.
Just the talk of the town. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really cool experience. And then seeing him at state, when he hugged his sister after winning state championship game, offensive MVP, winning Timpson's first ever state championship. I literally almost started tearing up.
Yeah.
And I almost started tearing up too because I was so mad at myself for picking against him at state.
I think a lot of people did the same though.
Yeah, Toller was some big boys.
Toller, and it was funny because that was the year that me, you, Ish, and Pickle went down to the Toller Marlin game, I believe.
Yeah.
It was the state semifinals game. And we watched Toller, and we were like, these dudes are huge. Like, we thought they were going to be, I think they were bigger than Timpson at the time.
1,000%.
But Timpson had Terry Bussey.
I knew from the first run Terry Bussey had, I was like, I made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And they won like 49-7 in that game.
Wasn't Powers the only one that picked Timpson? Because he was like, I ain't picking against Terry Bussey.
Yeah, he was very smart.
Him and maybe Step or something. I don't think I did. Maybe I did.
Well, it was like Toller had the team, but Timpson had the guy.
Right. And at that level of football, if you have the guy, your odds are pretty good.
No disrespect to Timpson's entire team, but like I don't know how many guys on that team played college football.
Fair.
You know, like
fair.
they were a really good team. They had a really great coach in Kerry Thurwinger, who's back by the way at Garrison. He just rode off into retirement there after Terry Bussey graduated from Timpson. So yeah, that was the best story and the most famous athlete I think I've ever covered.
That's a really good one. And then in that state championship game, do you remember what his stats were?
They were he had a 93-yard touchdown run where he tight-roped at the sideline, and then he had a 97-yard touchdown pass, which it was a slant route that was an 8-yard slant, and then the guy ran 89 yards. But hey, records are forever, you know, until someone breaks it. But 97-yard touchdown pass is a record.
It was like one of those situations that like whatever game you watch Terry Bussey in, that's probably going to be the best player that you've seen. Like, it doesn't matter which game you saw him in because he was just so consistently putting up big production numbers every single game. So great first pick. Really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you. All right. How are we going to do this? Are we going snake here or are we going 1, 2? Like I'm doing odds, you're doing evens. I think we should go snake.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go second.
That's only fair. Like a fantasy draft.
Okay. I think I'm going to go for my first pick with Germaine Bishop.
Excellent choice.
In 2025, specifically, the regional semifinals round against Forney, this dude popped off on a team that had other dudes. Like Lincoln Frazier, their freshman quarterback, played phenomenal. Javion Martin, their tight end, who's now at Houston,
a dude, right?
Hurdled a man to get the first down. I mean, the athleticism from Javion Martin in that game was incredible, but Germaine Bishop just took it to another level in that game. 389 total yards, 4 touchdowns, and a game-sealing interception, and played in all three, dominated in all 3 phases of the game. Like, I don't know how many return yards that he had, but it was quite a few. And then he threw a couple times, like took a couple snaps at quarterback, had 1 rushing touchdown or something in that game. I mean, it was explosive from him.
He does what Terry Bussey did at Timpson, except there's also a bunch of D1 athletes on his team too.
Correct, right. And so that's why, I mean, I talked to him after that game because I was like, I can't talk to anybody else.
Of course,
like I have to interview the star of the show, right? And that was a cool interview because I think couple weeks prior he had just committed to Texas, or maybe it was a couple months prior to that, but it was freshly, like his commitment was pretty fresh to the University of Texas. One of the questions that I asked him was like, you're such a big athlete, like you play in all 3 phases of the game, like is that challenging for you? Talk me through those challenges. And he goes, no, it's not really a challenge because it's what I signed up for. And I was like, accurate.
Well, people wonder like, okay, he's only 160 pounds. He really needs to put on weight. It's like, dude, he runs 10 miles a game. He never comes off the field at the 6A level. Like, how is he gonna put on muscle like that? Once he gets in a college weight room program, I think he's going to start bulking up. And I know he takes personally people who say that he can't be the SEC's version of Travis Hunter.
Correct.
Because he was that in Texas high school football.
That's what you compare him to. Yeah, right.
And he proved a lot of doubters wrong at Willis High School too, because he showed up as a freshman and was 110 pounds soaking wet. And he's, you know, in the summer before his freshman season, they're doing 7-on-7, and the coach, Trent Miller, says, hey, Germaine, the freshman team's over on that side of the field. He says, no, I know. I'm getting in here right here to cover the varsity guys. And then he ends up locking down Jalen Mickens, who in his own right was a fantastic player, went to Louisiana Tech. And there goes, okay, this kid's got a different type of confidence and swagger. So But he also does it in a way that's like very endearing.
It is, yeah.
He's not like cocky and brash and look at me, but he's got a great smile. He's got a great infectious personality,
right?
Everybody can't say enough good things about him at Willis.
And even that interview that I did with him after that game, he was so complimentary of the rest of his teammates too. I mean, like I had talked to him and he was like, man, I couldn't have done this without so-and-so, couldn't have done this without so-and-so, you know. He was very complimentary of the entire team. He never said, I don't think he ever said I in the whole interview. So he plays to his personality.
He's only by a slight margin a little less famous than Terry Bussey, in my opinion. But I remember watching him at State 7-on-7 in College Station, and other teams were like kind of crowding around Willis's field and saying like, that's Germaine Bishop right there.
Right.
And he literally is the Batman.
You took it right out of my yes, Batman. He sure is. Okay, so that's my first pick.
Excellent first. I don't know how you're going to top that one.
It's going to be tough, but I might.
I think you're going to do it though.
I think I am too. I'm going to hand the rope off to you. Are we snaking
snake
it?
Draft. Yeah, it's
we are snake drafting it. Okay, that's fine. Oh, okay. This is going to be pretty close too. I went with Trey Wright from Frisco Lone Star.
Excellent.
Yep. This is another recent one too.
The best part about this pick is we get to see him for 2 more years, which seems unbelievable.
He's only he's going to be a junior, but he's only a sophomore right now. So I saw him in the regional finals this year against Highland Park. And my goodness, I'm struggling with calling it a breakout performance because he's been on the radar because he's the sophomore quarterback of a prominent Texas high school football program that had championship aspirations, right? But that game specifically took it to a whole nother level.
For sure.
He threw for 477 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and added 176 yards on the ground. He did it all. And one of the most electric plays that kind of sealed it for me is it was a super close game. I think it was in third quarter. Really bad snap. He drops it. He picks it up, scrambles with it, sees an open lane, and just darts for a 40-yard gain. Yeah. That was, to me, like, it could have been disastrous. Yep. And he took that, put it on his back, and was like, nah, I'm gonna do something good with this situation. And Trey was such an interesting story in 2025 because you remember Lone Star had an all-state sophomore quarterback, Carice Hoyt, who's going to go to Baylor in 2024. And then when they're turning in their questionnaires, they have Carice Hoyt listed as an athlete, like running back, wide receiver, safety. Right. You go, what are they doing? You know, and we call Coach Rayburn over there and doing some preseason coverage. He's like, I'm either going to be the dumbest coach alive or I'm going to be the smartest coach alive. And watching them at 7-on-7 work their way through to state, they were rotating 2 quarterbacks. Right. And one of them was Trey Wright. And I could see both of them threw the ball pretty well, but I didn't know who was kind of separating from the other. But that's because quarterbacks can't run in 7-on-7. Right, and then when you go see him in the playoffs, he just takes off, goes zoom, like it's like Kyler Murray-esque the way he hits that next gear. Right. It absolutely is. And he's got a couple of offers. At the time, he didn't have any big Power 4 offers, I believe, but now he's picked up a couple from Baylor, TCU, SMU. So the nation is starting to take notice of what Trey Wright brings to the table in his skill set. And he's also a phenomenal basketball player, too. Like, he's just a dude, like an athletic dude. He dunked over a 6'11" guy in basketball, so that helped, too. Which is crazy because he's not 6'11". Trey Wright is not 6'11". Maybe 5'11", which I think he's got a little bit in him left to grow, but he was so much fun to watch in that game, and I cannot wait to watch him these next couple of years. Like, just to see, I can't wait to look back 2 years from now, or like look back 2 years from now and be like, man, he's grown so much since that game that he was already really good in, but I just think that he hasn't even touched the top of his potential yet. Which is crazy because I agree with you, but he also led the nation in total yards last year. Correct. With 5,800. And I think there is areas he could say he could even get better at, which is kind of scary for Texas high school football defenses. And I know I already threw out the Kyler Murray comparison, and I really hesitate to do this because I don't want to put too much pressure on any kid and like hold you to Kyler Murray's expectation. But it is Kyler Murray-esque in his play style and the fact that he is
just as good at another sport like basketball.
Yeah, right,
For Kyler,
exactly.
it was baseball. He was drafted 9th overall by the A's. Trey Wright is a legit college prospect on the basketball court.
Yes, I completely agree. It'll be interesting to see if he has any interest to play basketball at the next level.
For sure.
We'll see.
Hey, Mallory, you know who else was a really good basketball player and is my second pick? Columbus running back Grayson Rigdon.
What a pull.
What a pull.
Elite ball knowledge by Carter Yates.
I almost picked him number 1, but I saved him to number 2 because I literally called ISO on this, Mallory. I was like, you're not taking my boy here.
Yeah, I know. You said that when we first thought of this segment, you sent that very early and you're like, you're not taking it. This is mine. Okay.
Before it was even fully fleshed out. Grayson Rigdon is one of my favorite stories of betting on himself in Texas high school football because my first year at Dave Campbell's was his 3rd year at Benjamin. Well, not his 2nd year at Benjamin. He played at Strawn his freshman year, but 3rd year in 6-man football. And he, by then, was the clear-cut best player of all time in 6-man football. I think he got tackled 17 times all year.
That's insane.
He had about 10 touchdowns in that state championship game. And there was the conversation around Rigdon of he's got the Air Force offer. Can he go play at the next level? And Grayson Rigdon had a choice where he could have stayed in 6-man football, where there was, in my opinion, nothing left to prove. And kind of been a what-if story forever. Like, well, what if this guy played 11-man football? And he could always say, I should have gotten better offers, but I played 6-man football. And instead, he put it all on the line, his reputation, and went to Columbus, a 3A school. They went undefeated. They won the first state championship in program history. He had 2,000 yards and 39 rushing touchdowns. And it was so cool to watch because he had a lot of narratives around him where it felt like people were rooting against him.
Right. I mean, that's typically...
When he went to 11-man specifically.
When you went to 11-man, yeah, right. Because I don't think also people really expected him to do anything at the 11-man level, right? Yep. I mean, because you're so dominant at the 6. It's such a different game. 6-man to 11-man is such a different game. Like, it was going to be hard for him to do what he's been doing in 6-man, but also, people hyped it up so much to the point where naturally he was being rooted against.
Yes. And I didn't understand the 6-man contingent that seemed to be rooting against him, saying he can't do it in 11-man football, because it was this is your champion. This is the best guy to ever come out of 6-man football. If he can't do it at 3A, then who can? And I think Grayson Rigdon proving he could play 11-man football and then signing at Arizona State, it opened the door for a lot more 6-man football players to go play 11-man college football.
I was just about to say, I feel like he laid out the red carpet for Gordon specifically this year with Riley Reed and Stryker Reed. I feel like that kind of opened the door for people to say, hey, recognize that 6-man football, there's still some dudes.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. And there were guys before like Ben Crockett and McLean that went to West Texas A&M and played football for a little bit. So it's not like Grayson Rigdon was the first, but he was the most prolific and signed to the biggest Power 4 school.
Right.
And now you see guys like Bodie Ham at Jayton who set a record for touchdown runs in a state championship game. And he's getting looks for real to go play college football. And would that happen for a 5'10", 175-pound football player that played 6-man 5 years ago? I don't think so, personally. And you can disagree with me, but I just don't think it would have.
Right. There was a moment I remember, this was back before Grayson Rigdon had graduated, but I think he had maybe just signed or committed to Arizona State or something. And I remember telling my dad telling him his stat line, his career stat line in high school. I wish I had it pulled up right here. I'm just going to pull it up right now. But it was seriously, my dad was like, is that 6-man football? And I was like, well, it was, but now he's dominating at the 3A level. So, I mean, I think it was on Max Preps or something, but
he won 4 state championships. I believe he got an MVP
at 3 different
award.
schools.
At 3 different schools, he got an MVP award in every single state championship game he played in.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Oh wait, that's basketball. Let me go to football.
I mean, his basketball, he had 50.
Also basketball too. He's dominant in both sports. I mean, anyways, but seriously, his stat line was incredible. I remember just telling my dad, he was like, that's not real. And I was like, no, he's real. And he's going to Arizona State.
And I remember writing a story about Grayson Rigdon before he played his first game at Columbus. And I drove down there on a solo mission to try to do his preseason preview. And Matt Schobel, Adam Schobel, the coach and quarterback, father-son combination, they both were like, don't put this on record, but he's going to be really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back in the office and I told everybody that would listen, say, he's going to do something that's going to shock y'all. Because people in the office were saying, I don't know if he's going to do it to the same extent in 11-man football. And
well, it's just not happened, right? So how it was hard to see that potentially becoming a thing.
Yeah. And that first game he played against Cuero where he had, I saw those 2 touchdown runs come across the timeline, get sent in the slack. I was beside myself at some random game in like Euless Trinity's game, just like fully refreshing my phone to try to find Grayson Rigdon.
Columbus and Cuero. Yeah.
I walked in the office on Monday just with
on your high horse,
a different type of strut.
You really did. And we gave you your flowers. We gave you your props for calling that. So great pick.
Well, really going on a limb saying the greatest 6-man football player of all time could be good in 11-man too. Like, wow.
Crazy
really
breaking news. Yeah, no kidding.
Texas high school football insider Carter Yates. Okay.
Ball knower.
Should I do another running back for my next pick?
Yeah, why not?
Let's go Landon Williams, Callis.
Yeah, fair.
Richmond Randall, running back. And honestly, the best performance I've ever seen was me and you were both at that game in the Rising Game of the Week. It is funny how far we've come, Mallory, since 2 years ago when we first signed on. We would take the swag wagon to,
Mansfield Summit and Crowley.
Summit, like 2 teams that, not those teams specifically, but like we'd go see teams that weren't even going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Really for the love of the game. And now 2 years later, we're doing Rising Game of the Weeks, like getting to broadcast for the company. Like the little engine that could is just.
I know.
In large part, thanks to you. Honestly, I didn't do anything.
No, that's not true. You keep
bringing me along for the ride. But
I said, hey, come along for the ride.
It just makes me like sit back and say like to get to watch Landon Williams, Callis versus Iowa Colony on a Thursday night, called the game basically in the stands at Richmond Randall's Field. It was so electric. It's the best running back performance I've ever seen. And it's a twofold experience because it started off as bad as possible for Landon. Like
it was horrible.
I literally wrote like the hype up legend of Landon Williams Callis story heading into the game, and he fumbles on his first 2 possessions. Iowa Colony goes up 21-0. And you go, a lesser man would crumble in this situation. And then Landon gets like a 8 or 9 yard run, and an Iowa Colony player kind of shoves him at the bottom of the pile. They say like, he's vulnerable. This guy's been famous since he was a 3rd grader in Houston.
And he's fumbled twice. Let's kick him while he's down, right? Yeah.
And that was a big mistake because cue the SpongeBob like 2 hours later. Landon Williams Callis goes for 330 yards and 6 touchdowns. Poor Iowa Colony.
Absolutely insane.
In the last 2 years, Iowa Colony is 24-0 when playing not Richmond Randall and 0-4 when playing Richmond Randall.
Yeah. I mean, it was just an unbelievable performance by him. I talked to him after that game too. I've talked to him a couple times, but after that game specifically, I was like, man, how'd you shake it off? Like, what was that mind shift that you had to make between like after fumbling twice and then going on your 6th touchdown run? He was like, man, I just started doing what I do best. Like he just had to switch it off and like completely change his mindset. And I think he's really good at doing that too.
For sure. Yeah. What makes me so excited for his senior year too, because he is in the proverbial position of being down and kind of getting kicked when he's down after that state championship game where they lost to South Oak Cliff, and the South Oak Cliff team started calling out his nickname that he earned as a 3rd grader and saying, I thought he was going to do something today. And look, he had a record-setting kickoff return too, and he played pretty damn good. But he's taken a lot of flack on social media. I know he had a video of him getting emotional after the state championship game, which every kid would.
Of course, yeah.
And people were blasting it on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. And he gets to get revenge week 1. Yeah. Or at least attempt to get revenge in week 1. So
that game's going to be so electric.
That game is keeping me up at night. Like I can't sleep at night thinking about Richmond Randall, South Oak Cliff, and week 1. And so I think Landon has to deal with a lot of outside noise compared to a lot of high school athletes, and even athletes that came before him, like Cedric Benson, where Cedric Benson was the last non-internet recruit at Midland Lee back then, where you just kind of heard about him and how awesome he was as he's tearing it up in West Texas. And then Kyler Murray was that internet recruit where there were people rooting for his downfall, but I think me and you can both admit like the internet has gotten more toxic in 2025, 2026.
100%. And it's so much easier easily accessible too. All you have to do is look up a name, and you can find anything you want about anybody.
And it's really tough for 17-year-old kids that get hit with that all the time on social media, because we in society love to build up athletes, and then we also kind of love to tear them down.
Yeah, it goes back to the Grayson Rigdon thing. Like, people kind of just are waiting for his downfall, because we're crazy, I guess. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, he truly is such an electric player. I mean, I've said that about all of the guys that we've talked about so far, but he is, and he deserves all of his flowers too. Really good pick.
I'm just warning you, my next 2 picks are going to be wild. We've gotten through the traditional number 1 running back, greatest 6-man player of all time.
Yep.
Terry Bussey was the best athlete in Timpson history and a 5-star recruit. I'm going off the board.
We're going all Bray team right now.
Oh yeah.
All Bray team right now.
Sooner or later, that werewolf inside me starts peeking its head talk about the second team linebacker. Talk about the second team linebacker.
Let's dive deep into our Texas high school football bag, right? Okay, so I am going to throw it back here. All the way to 2019.
Ages ago.
This would, fair. Yeah. It feels like ages ago, right? So this was when I first started covering Texas high school football, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was very new in my career. I knew I wanted to go into sports broadcasting. This was way before I even started working at Dave Campbell's. I was working for another Texas high school football company at the time. They sent me to a banger of a game.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Battle of the Axe in
I wish
2019.
I wish Dave Campbell could send me to a game like that. They were sending me.
I know. See, literally my thoughts. So Battle of the Axe back in 2019. And the Battle of the Axe is an iconic game that's played every single year between Louisville and Flower Mound Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
The Flower Mound Marcus quarterback at the time was Garrett Nussmeier.
Wow.
5 touchdowns and an overtime win from Garrett Nussmeier.
Unbelievable.
And it was so much fun covering that game too, because that was kind of my first experience covering a player that had national recruiting attention. Because like I said, it was very early on in my career. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I remember studying for this game and looking up who Garrett Nussmeier was beforehand, and I was like, oh, he's a big deal. It's funny to look back now and be like, oh yeah, now we cover his brother, and Garrett's about to enter the NFL draft. It's crazy how it all kind of comes full circle in the moment. But that was such a fun performance to watch from Garrett Nussmeier. Now, granted, that was back in 2019, so I don't remember every single play that happened, but I just remember I got to interview him afterwards, and he was very calm, cool, collected, after a thrilling overtime win. I mean, you knew this kid was going to be special just by his composure, the way that he spoke, and just his gunslinger of an arm.
Can we put your interview with Garrett Nussmeier in this show?
No.
Okay. It was worth a shot.
That was 2019, Mallory. No, it was terrible. It was so bad.
Well, who was the Louisville quarterback on the other side, too? Because he's pretty damn good, too.
Talon Green.
Wow. Both could be selected. Both will be selected in the 2026 NFL draft.
Yeah, Talon Green's an honorable mention in this just because I got to see him. Tyson Edwards was also in that game as well. Mm-hmm. Looking back, I'm like, dang, I saw a banger, and I didn't even really fully understand it at the time. But that was a great performance by Garrett Nussmeier and Talon Green. I mean, like I said, that game ended in overtime, and Talon Green had a great performance as well.
So 2019, were you a sophomore in college at this point?
Yes.
So it's so funny to picture you.
I was a junior, but so I started in 2018, but I was a junior. Yeah.
So you were a junior, and all your friends probably going to the bars. It's Friday night, and you're like, I'm going to the Battle of the Axe.
Yes.
Actually, Louisville and Flower Mound Marcus.
And you know what? I was so excited for it.
I bet you had a more fun night than they did.
Ever did. I spent my whole Thursday night studying for this game, and then I got to actually go to the game on Friday. Man, that was peak Mallory Hartley.
Also, Battle of the Axe they used to call my middle school locker room that.
Really?
Battle of the Axe body spray.
Oh my God.
It reeked in there.
That's so good. Yeah, that's like the... Okay.
But we're back, baby. God, it's good to be in here, huh?
No, I'm just kidding.
Let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling. Okay, after that, it was...
You're up again, I think. I don't want to get caught in the snake here.
I sure am up again. Oh, and this is another banger performance. Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying the performance itself was really good. This is no 6 touchdown performance by this player. it's just the principle of the thing. And you'll understand here in a second. Let's throw it back to 2020, and I guess 2021 too. Shiner's Doug Brooks.
Wow. The man right here.
This man right here. I mean, okay. They played, was it, I think I had this written down, Post. They played Post in the 2020 2A Division I state championship game, and they won 42-20. My guy Doug Brooks won defensive MVP. And that was also, if you guys remember back, that infamous stiff arm by this man in that championship game. That's when it happened.
He stiff-armed a man through the crust of the earth.
Literally.
I think that kid's still digging his way out of the AT&T Stadium turf.
Yes, and while we're saying this, you're probably watching that highlight as well. But that was insane. Then he goes back to back, right? So the 2A Division I state championship in 2021 was against Hartley. Kind of the same performance, 47-12. He won offensive MVP this time with 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the thing about him that was so interesting was 2A Division I, when you think of 2A Division I football, Texas high school football, they're not these big dudes that are like, high profile prospects, have a lot of offers, like 6 foot and above, 200 and above. This man was 6 foot, 265 pounds. So he looked so out of place out there. And that's why he was just so dominant during those games. You'd watch him carrying the ball and like stiff arm here, stiff arm there. Guys were just slipping. Defenders were just slipping off of him because you couldn't tackle him.
It's crazy that you said he's 6 foot, 260 pounds, because in my mind, he was 6'4", 300 pounds.
Right. And these were like Post and Hartley were great teams, but like they just didn't have Doug Brooks' size, Like, what do you do about that?
He was literally like Forrest Whitaker's character in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time,
where
Great pull!
They crash his car and make him think the other team like wrecked his car. And he's totally red in the face, like snot bubbling out of his nose, jumping over the line of scrimmage, and everyone else on the other team's like peeing their pants. That's what Doug Brooks was like in high school.
Good pull. No, that's such a good pull because you're so accurate. But I don't know where he's at now. I think he went on to play college football.
His brother Dalton was at Texas
A&M. I knew that, which also great performance by Dalton Brooks too. Yeah. I mean, I think that was back in either 2020 or 2021, but his brother was just as good, but he didn't have Doug Brooks' size.
A different type of good.
He
was like 6 foot, 180.
A little bit small. Yeah, right. He just looked like different out there, but yeah, I know that Dalton went on to play, but I wasn't sure if Doug was. But anyways, he was so fun to watch for those 2 years.
I'm going to make a pick right now that's very similar to the Doug Brooks pick.
All right.
It is Malakoff defensive end Doc Renberg. This might be one of my...
You did not just say Doc Renberg.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I know. These memories, Mallory, of us sitting at the Star. As we weren't even on the field covering the game. We were just kind of in the stands. He was another guy that I think I looked it up today. He was 6'2", 220. I thought he was 6'8".
Yeah.
The most dominant defensive end performance I've ever seen. Strip sacked Brock at the end of the game to win the state semifinal and then go on to Jerry World.
That was so electric. And I remember specifically calling Powers in the car after that game and saying, "Can I make a profile?"
Yep, exactly.
He was like, "For who?" And I said, "Doc Renberg."
And he was like, "Who?"
Yeah, yeah.
No one knew about this guy.
No, really. And we were shocked about that.
I think part of this was, I've looked back into it, I think he changed his name halfway through high school.
That's right.
He used to be Demetrius Lewis. I went on his Twitter account. His name was Demetrius Lewis, and then his @ was like username Doc Renberg.
Yeah, right.
So it's almost like, so I might be getting too personal here, but I have like OCD that I grew up with, and I used to be obsessed with the letter R. That was one of my OCD tics. And one day when I was like 5, I changed my name to Rarter so I could get more R's in my name. Doc Renberg did this in real life. Like he was like, "I'm not Demetrius Lewis, Rarter. I'm Doc Renberg." Like, that is the coolest football name ever.
It really is. is. I think any character named Doc is freaking awesome. Any person named Doc is freaking awesome. I automatically think of Doc Holliday from Tombstone, but
he's another guy where I don't know exactly.
And Doc Renberg or Doc Holliday freaking rocks. So
Renberg's another guy I don't know exactly where he went. Usually, so every offseason I do like a Where Are They Now series, and it's usually 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I might do a Doug Brooks, Doc Renberg collab like 3 years later.
Yes. I think that you definitely need to do that because those are like, they're both the type of guys that like you're going to look back on and be like, they were so much fun to watch in high school.
If I got to shake Doc Renberg's hand, I'd say I would be embarrassed to tell you how often I think about your semifinal performance in 2023 at the Star.
I was so enthralled by it. We made a profile.
Yeah.
Didn't we go back to the office and sit there and make his profile?
It was the first
after the game.
It was the first profile I was ever part of making.
Yeah, that was my first profile that I ever made on the website.
I didn't even know how to operate the back end. I was like figuring out on the fly, like Googling our back end to put Doc Renberg. Give him a profile.
I remember trying to find like the perfect headshot of him too, because I think we had photographers at that game or something. So, or maybe it was a couple games before that we had pictures from, but we were like, we got to find the perfect headshot for him.
There's like one picture of him on the internet. Like it's
and
all
we
in a
found
football
it.
helmet. Yeah.
It was so awesome. Great pull.
He honestly is the origin story for Here's a Guy.
Yes,
that segment
correct.
on the Rising Show where you talk about guys with one or two offers that are just stud Texas high school football players. I wish we did Here's a Guy back in 2023.
Yeah.
Because Doc Renberg would have been the first guy we did.
He would have. Oh my gosh. That is so true. Great pull.
But his legacy lives on now in the Here's a Guys like the Caden Tollisons and Kelby Jeffersons.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys get a segment because of Doc Renberg.
Yes, absolutely. Doc Renberg walked so Mason Manning could run.
Okay. Is this my last pick?
It's your last pick.
Can I get a drum roll, please? Gunner quarterback
Walker Overman. Yes.
One of my favorite Texas high school football players of all time. Like Mallory, I don't want to get overly like religious on the show, but sometimes I sit back and think of like my life lined up to where I got to be at Dave Campbell's and cover Walker Overman. What are the odds that Walker Overman ended up at Gunner, the perfect offense, the flex spread, at a quarterback 5'3", 139 pounds with a blonde mullet coming out of the Rebo Speed helmet.
You've never seen anything like it.
So many things had to line up for this to work out, and I'm like, God is real.
It was the perfect storm.
You were there for this.
Awesomeness. Yes.
Yeah, I think he is one of my favorite players of all time in Texas high school football because he wasn't just like, okay, he's 5'3", 140, like this is funny. He was really
good. Yeah. I mean, I just remember like the games that we got to watch him in, like his production value was like off the charts. Like,
yeah, he basically was like Sonic the Hedgehog, and he would run so low to the ground, and you couldn't see him over the line of scrimmage. You couldn't see him, yeah. So when he's doing those read options like that, you never know who has the ball, and he basically is like Sonic the Hedgehog, just rolling into the field and just uppercutting a dude in his chest, like jumping into them as he trucks them.
That is such a great comparison. It's so true. I remember at the state championship game though, I think we got to talk to him and we got to talk to coach at the time, and he was just like in tears. Like he was so happy. I guess it was 2020. The eye black was running down to his chest, but like he was just like so proud of his team, and he was like, he is truly a great guy too. Great human, very fun to talk to, very smart. Like he embodies Texas high school football.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like small school Texas high school football. Like 3, if you consider 3A small school, but like embodies Texas high school football.
Yeah, and it's so weird, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like Gunner, for how much they won, they never were really that hated. Usually when teams win that much, they're super despised. Maybe they are, in 3A football, but I feel like for as good as they were, they didn't get a lot of hate, because how could you hate a guy like Walker Overman?
You couldn't.
Out there.
No, you absolutely couldn't. Great last pick. I really enjoyed that.
Now at Friends University.
Yeah, now at Friends University. Yeah, so still continuing on with his football career.
I think he took a year off and was going to go be a regular student, and then that eye black sitting on his mantle just kept speaking to him at night.
That state championship.
Yeah, the state championship trophies.
Medal is there. Yeah, I mean, sure, like, you played football in high school, right? I mean, like, when you play a sport for so long, you're pretty much your entire life, right? And it just ends.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that wants to go back, and sometimes you do.
Yeah, for most guys like me, the game is like, we're done with you. Thank you for your service. But
you don't drop the game drops you.
And I think Walker dropped the game and was like, I'm going to go be a regular student, but he's still got some gas left in the tank.
He does. We need to pull up his film, watch him at Friends University. We need to have a Friends University watch party and watch our
Friends
guy.
University?
I'm not sure.
How far can the swag wagon take us there?
Good point. I'm actually going to look that up right now. Friends University. Honestly, great name for one, too.
You've got a friend in me, Walker Overman.
Okay. Wichita, Kansas. That's not too far.
It's not. That's not horrible.
It's not undoable.
It's not gonna be fun. No. It will be fun when we get there.
But it will take a while to get there. It's not just like right across the street.
Can you Google real quick how long that drive is? That's gonna be a treacherous drive.
How far is it from Dallas to Wichita, Kansas? My parents actually used to live in Wichita a long time ago.
We can show up at the athletic complex, start banging on the door, like, we're here to see Walker Overman. They're like, security, can you guys? It's like, we drove all this way from Louisville.
Okay, 5 hours and 17 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Let's do it.
We could do that.
Yeah, I'm down.
We could do that asleep. Not really. Like, we don't want to sleep while we drive. But, like, we could literally,
it's easy. It's very easy. Okay, should we end this segment with some honorable mentions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, you go first.
Okay. I went with Jacoby Hayes.
One of the underrated best single performances I've seen. Him against Crowley when he was at Mansfield.
When he was at Mansfield, this was back in 2020. Was this 2024?
2024.
Because we were and he had 3 touchdowns in that game. Or
also was
like
locking up their best wide receiver.
And that's the thing. Like, he flipped on to the other side of the ball to cover Antavius Ellis, who was at Crowley. Now he transferred to a high school up in Nebraska, but he was going to be one of the best receivers in the class of 2027 if he would have stayed here. And I think that Jacoby did a pretty good job of handling him.
I saw you run the full gamut of emotions as a North Texas fan and alum, where you started the game, he had 1 or 2 touchdowns. You're like, dude, this is going to be so awesome. Like, when he goes to North Texas, he was a North Texas commit
at the time.
And then by like the 3rd interception and 4th touchdown, you're like, he's doing too well right now. There's some Baylor coaches over there. I see. He's doing way too well. You need to chill.
No, there were coaches there watching Jacoby Hayes specifically, and I was like, North Texas. I would be shocked if North Texas could hang on to him,
and they didn't. He's at TCU,
and now he's at TCU, and so congratulations to Jacoby for signing with TCU. But that was such a fun game to watch with him in it.
One of my honorable mentions from that game, Crowley safety John Blake.
Yes,
they brought him in as a goal line quarterback, and the snap went over his head. It was a designed like QB plunge. He scoops it up with one hand, jukes a couple guys out, throws a touchdown pass to a wide receiver that just like leaked out in the formation.
Oh my gosh, what a pull.
Yeah,
what a pull.
He was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great game too.
Give me a couple more honorable mentions.
Let's see. Ooh, this was before your time at Dave Campbell's.
Okay.
Malcolm Murphy, a running back from Franklin.
All right,
4 touchdowns in a state championship game against Gunner. It was really fun too to watch him, because that game, Malcolm Murphy played great. He won offensive MVP in that game, but that was the emergence game of Bryson Washington.
Oh,
because he had 3 touchdowns. Malcolm Murphy was a senior, I believe.
Wait, so Malcolm Murphy had 4 and Bryson Washington had 3. What was the score?
I'd have to go back and look, but it was
a lot.
Yes. But yeah, that was Malcolm Murphy was a senior, and then I think Bryson was a sophomore. So like that was his emergence game as a prominent running back there at shocking. Franklin has like a lot of good running backs. So.
Yeah.
I love the slot T out there, but yeah, no, that was Malcolm Murphy was so much fun to watch in that game.
I'm trying to think of other like honorable mentions. I mean, there's one that I don't know how you haven't picked already. Caden Granberry.
No, I was waiting for you to say that, because I know you've been wanting to say that.
We saw Caden Granberry as a sophomore at Tyler at the Tyler McKinney North game, and
yes.
he's like the Walker Overman build. In another life, he would be Walker Overman if he played at Gunner. Mm-hmm. But he was like 5'3" and could sling it.
And he was accurate too. Mm-hmm. You know, he was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, we did go back. Was it the first time that we went out to Tyler and that's when we saw him? Is that what you said? Yeah. And now Tyler has dudes just everywhere. Obviously, one of my favorite receivers in the class of 2027, Trey Harrelson, and then Kadarius McMiller too, who's an Oregon commit out there.
He's at Howard Payne now.
He's at Howard Payne.
He's going to tear it up.
He is going to tear it up. He's got such a strong arm. He was so much fun to watch. But, like, his favorite target was Trey Harrelson. Not in that game because that was before Trey played. I think Trey was a freshman at the time or something.
That was before Trey.
But the first time we saw the dynamic duo of Trey Harrelson and Caden Granberry was, do you remember?
At 7-on-7.
Specifically where?
I don't remember where it was.
No. Arlington High School, home of the Colts. No. KICKEN. How did you forget that?
You set me up for that. I was too blinded by Trey and Caden just going off. I could not remember what stadium we were at.
That was one of my favorite duos, I think, last year. But yeah, good. I'm glad that he went off to go play somewhere because he deserved his shot to play some college football.
He was really freaking good.
Yeah.
Do you have any more honorable mentions?
No, I'm done.
I mean, we literally, Stetson Surratt, who's literally the inspiration for this entire segment, was awesome at Midlothian Stadium.
Yes. I didn't see my fifth player.
Oh. All right, rewind. All right, back to Mallory. For her fifth player.
This might be the most important one, too.
Oh, we just get to do honorable mentions again after this.
I know. Okay, this is my fifth player, okay? Jacqueline Aguilar.
There we go.
She's a kicker for Wilmer Hutchins, which we were at this game. Mm-hmm. She made history in this game because it was the first female at Wilmer Hutchins to play football. She was a kicker. She went 3 for 3 on PATs in that game.
Yeah, she was nailed.
She was solid in that game against Frisco Panther Creek when we went out there. And I looked up her her career total. She made 40 in total when she was at Wilmer Hutchins. So she's a badass.
That's
but
more points
I had
than
to put her on my list.
That's more points than I ever scored in high school football. Jacqueline Aguilar got me beat there.
We still need to look up your huddle film.
No, absolutely not. If we put my high school huddle film, we have to put your 2019 interview with Garrett Nussmeier.
I'll accept those terms.
No, I'm not shaking on that.
Okay, fine. But I had to put her. What?
That's part of the reason, like, when in my first year out of college, I would always talk to, like, the second team all district guys who just had a really good game because I was never all district, but I just saw myself in them because my coaches, if you asked them, I was literally standing at realignment one day and there was an assistant coach at my old high school and he was talking to the former defensive coordinator, not the head coach. He was like, so what was this guy like back in the day? And my coach was like, man, he's just really a tough, gritty kid, which is code for slow and unathletic.
That is coach speak for that. Yeah, I'm going to say something really nice about his character.
Great kid.
Great kid. Very smart. Yeah, right. First one in, last one out type of guy, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that. But so I had to put her on my list. I mean, like, seeing her in person, that was pretty cool. I got to take a video of her. I got to talk to her. That was really cool. But that game was fun because that Wilmer Hutchins Frisco Panther Creek game was when you saw Donovan Webb for the first time.
It was our first time we got to talk to Donovan Webb, who then was on the Rising Show with solo interviews. We did his commitment to Texas Tech.
Yeah, that you laid the foundation for that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you laid the foundation for that live commitment. But he's been one of our favorites to watch here at Dave Campbell's Texas football. And then the Star Wars Cantina Band, too.
Yeah, I showed up to Donovan Webb. I was like, look, man, your Star Wars Cantina Band that did the national anthem, like, you guys got something cooking here.
Yeah, no,
sorry, that's too much of an inside joke. Basically, they had, like, 4 clarinets. They had a full band.
They were playing the Star Wars songs.
Yes, they had a full band there. And for the national anthem, just 4 clarinet players played it.
Right.
And with like a little microphone on their clarinets.
And they were good.
Yeah, no, they were solid.
That was the best part, yeah. And they were loud, too. Weren't they, like, super, super loud? So they projected. Everybody could hear the Star Wars
Can you imagine, like, the Wilmer Hutchins quarterback after throwing a pick 6 to Donovan Webb, and as he's running on the field, you just hear as you're trying to run for it, then you get, like, decleated by a lineman going down the field. It's trying to block for Donovan.
That's one of those moments that you're never going to forget ever in your life.
No matter how hard you try.
Correct. So I loved watching Jacqueline Aguilar make history there. We love women empowerment. So that's my 5th one. I'm sorry. Forgot about that.
Sorry,
I didn't finish my list. It was the snake draft that messed me up.
Yeah, I always get caught in the snake.
Yeah, I get caught in the snake. Oh, give me some honorable mentions.
I'm done. I have no more honorable mentions. I mean, we could be here for like I could be here for till the end of the day.
I think we could too. We have seen so many players, like individually and together, that probably deserve to be on this list too. But if we did that, like you said, we would be here all day.
I was driving into work today, just feeling so blessed. I was like, a lot of people wake up on Monday morning and they go to a job let's be honest, they don't really love.
Yeah.
I'm going into work today to name obscure 2023 Texas high school football players that have stuck with me.
And there's nothing else I would rather do.
Nothing
in my entire life. Like, this is where I wanted to be today.
I literally didn't even have the radio on. I didn't have the podcast and the music playing. I was just in my own thoughts thinking like, this, dude. I was like the LeBron James meme. Like, can't believe this is my life.
Can't believe this is
in the pool. And
it's just you watching Stetson Surratt highlights.
And it's just me, Walker Overman, Terry Bussey, chilling in the pool.
I'm going to make that meme.
Please don't.
That's awesome. Well, we took up an hour of y'all's time, so I hope you enjoyed
our top.
I hope you enjoyed it was more like top 15 Texas high school football players that we've seen in person. Lots of other content like this, so make sure you're following along at texasfootball.com.
If you somehow stayed to the end of this, you're like, I want more of this.
Just go to texasfootball.com. I'm not really sure which show is going to be next week, but we'll definitely be live every Wednesday from here until July, I believe. So just keep it locked on texasfootball.com.
Thanks for tuning in to an episode of whatever this is on Wednesdays.